Okay, you guys, welcome to the very first official episode. And we finally did it. I've been talking about starting this podcast for way too long, and we have finally got here. Now, before we jump in, if you are watching on YouTube or listening anywhere, hit subscribe or follow so you don't miss anything. We are doing proper big sister office hours every week for young professionals. We're going to talk about leadership, career boundaries, all of it. And I don't want you to miss an episode just because the algorithm was in a bad mood that day. All right, if you've ever sat in a meeting thinking, I actually know what I'm talking about, okay? But I'm the youngest here, so I'm just gonna stay quiet. This episode today, it's for you. I want you to feel like we've booked a little office together after work. We are just being honest about what it's like to be early in your career, to have big opinions, big ideas, and still feel like you need someone older to sign you off before you are allowed to speak, okay? We're going to do 3 things today. What's really going on in behind the scenes for me as a young professional educator. We're going to talk about open office, real talk on being too young to lead. And then this is your one tiny thing, which I'm going to do every single week. So this isn't just another feel inspired, do nothing type of episode or podcast. So let's get into it. Okay, you guys, let's just start with what's actually going on, because I actually refuse to sit here and pretend I've got some perfect aesthetic leadership journey happening right now. This week, it has been chaotic. I've been teaching, planning sessions, chasing people for things, answering way too many emails, and then coming home and switching into master student mode in the evenings, okay? In between all of that, I'm trying to map out this whole creator education thing, the podcast, content, templates, and my brain is like, absolutely not, okay? My Notion is just tabs on tabs right now. My WhatsApp is full of half-typed replies, and my laundry basket, well, it's generally one outfit away from becoming a safety hazard. It's not giving girl boss, it's giving what are we doing here? We are just trying to do our best. There were some wins though. That meeting that I had scheduled for senior staff, and if you follow me on other socials, you know what I'm talking about, okay? A couple of years ago, I would have been fully spiraling. I would have spent the whole weekend over preparing, changing my slide 12 times, practicing some fake serious voice in the mirror, trying to sound like the oldest person in the room. Now, this time, I still did the work. However, I walked in as me. I talked about what I'm actually seeing with the trainees, what's not working, what could be better, and I didn't try to perform older, more senior version of myself. I just showed up, and people actually listened. They asked questions, they took notes, they said, yeah, let's move this forward. So the old me would have gone home and been like, they were just being nice. They've probably thought it was cute. I tried. Now I'm like, no. I know what I'm doing. I'm allowed to know what I'm doing, even if I'm not 50 with a corner office, okay? It's not just work me either. There'll be moments where a trainee or a younger colleague will say, can I get your advice on this? And it hits me in a way that it makes me feel I am grown up in the room, okay? I am a grown up. Then I go home, I open my laptop, I sit on my bed in a hoodie, my favorite hoodie, and fluffy socks, and I'm still Googling things like everyone else. So that gap between how people see you and how you feel, that's where a lot of this too young to lead things lives. On the other side of the week, I had one of those days where I finished teaching, opened my laptop to work on my dissertation and podcast notes. in fact, this podcast specifically, what you're listening to right now. And honestly, I just wanted to lie face down on the floor. My calendar looks like it belongs to a 40-year-old exec, but inside, I still feel about 22 half of the time, winging it and hoping nobody notices. If you've had that I'm responsible for all of this, but also who let me be in charge feeling. Yeah. And I know a lot of you are in the same spot. You are the one who goes to with quick questions, but you'll still feel like the junior. You're carrying more and more responsibility, but your job title hasn't moved. You're trying to build a career, maybe a side thing, maybe studying and still somehow be a functioning friend, partner, daughter, sibling on top. It's a lot. And then on top of that, you've got this weird mixed messaging from the world telling you, be a leader, build your personal brand, take initiative. But wait. Also, at the same time, they're also saying, slow down, you're too young, wait your turn. No wonder it's confusing. You're being told to step up and sit down at the same time. And just to say, this isn't just us being dramatic. A lot of the research on younger professionals at the moment is saying the same thing. People in their 20s and early 30s are stepping into real responsibilities way earlier, but the systems around them haven't caught up yet. Specifically in the UK, there are all these early career schemes such as Future Leaders, fellowships, young academies, which is great and all, but at the same time, so many of these same people are still sat on fixed term contracts, assistant level roles, or stuck under managers who don't really know what to do with them. You see in education, in the NHS, in tech, in finance. Under 30s are mentoring, running projects, teaching, managing, doing social media, leading bits of strategy, but on paper, they are still junior. In the US, it's similar, but with different labels. High potential talent, emerging leaders sounds fancy, but still often they're underpaid and overstretched. If you've had that whiplash this week of why they are trusting me with big stuff, and also I should not be in charge of anything, I still Google basic things. That's okay, because we're probably all going through that right now. That's just what this stage feels like in 2026. And that's why I wanted this actually as the first episode, because if we don't call out this whole too young to lead story now, it's just kind of sits quietly in the background for years. And you end up telling yourself, I'll go for it when I'm 30 or 35, when I've done another course, when I've been here longer, when I finally feel ready. I used to think leadership in my late 20s would look like calm, confident, tidy flat, organized inbox, always knowing what to say. But in reality, it looks more like 17 tabs open, to-do lists on 3 different apps, teaching in the day, writing at night, doing my best not to cry in Tesco. And when the self-checkout beeps at me, keep it together, girl. That's what it is, okay? So I'm not waiting for that fantasy version of me, and you shouldn't be waiting for that either. You shouldn't be waiting for this magical thing to tell you you are ready. We are going to nip that early, and we are going to talk about it properly today. And then we are going to start acting like the leader you already are. With the messy life you've got right now, not some imaginary future version where everything is calm and sorted. All right. So I think it's time to open the doors to our first ever office hours together. Let's get it sorted. Okay, so let's treat this like a proper open office hours for a second, okay? Doors open. You've come in after work, flopped in the chair and said, I feel too young for half of this, but also weirdly responsible for everything. What am I meant to do with that, Shana? I just want to zoom in for a second. The whole idea of leadership is being rethought right now. A lot of big leadership reports from business schools, consultancies, even places like the World Economic Forum are saying we can't just hand every leadership role to the loudest, oldest person in the room anymore. The focus is shifting to people who can handle change, work across differences, actually listening, use tech well, and care about well-being, which, funny enough, are all things younger leaders tend to be pretty good at. So you were sitting there thinking, I'm not leader material because I'm not shouty enough, is exact opposite of where leadership is going in 2026. Now, the first thing I'm going to say to you in true bigger sister style is this. No one hand you a little, you may now be a leader badge. But honestly, I wish they were, because I am rooting for you. I wish there was this neat moment where someone older pulls you aside and goes, we've noticed your potential. Here's a promotion. Here's money. Here's a team. For most people, that's not how it happens. Most of the people you look at as leaders started acting like leaders ages before anyone officially called them that. Or if I'm being real, got promoted because they literally wasn't anybody else in the room. They probably spoke up. They put their hand up for things. They made it really obvious what they wanted. Sitting quietly, hoping someone magically notice you is a complete daydream. And I'm saying that with love, by the way. I did the whole, if I work really hard and be a good girl, surely they'll reward me thing. And guess what? That just got me more work I really didn't want to do. Even some of the career trend pieces now are saying the same thing. Being hardworking and reliable on its own doesn't move you as much as it used to. In tech, in finance, in startups, the people jumping levels tend to be the ones who led something visible, solved a real problem, or brought in a new way of working. Not just the ones who stayed latest in the office. Now, let's look in education and the public sector. It is slower, but even there, the people getting taps on the shoulder are often the ones you've made a bit of noise about what they care about, not the ones silently doing free people's jobs. This too young to lead thing as well, I actually don't think most of the time it's about your age. I think it's about the fact that to some people, you are still new. They haven't updated their mental picture of you yet. They still see graduate, first role, the one who joined last year. Our brains are lazy. If we don't know someone that well, we kind of just underestimate them by default. So you then walk into rooms with the story in your head of they all think I'm a child. And so you start to overcompensate. You over-explain. You over-prepare. You say yes to everything. You don't challenge anything. And all of that accidentally reinforces the idea that you are not fully steady yet. You see it play out slightly different in different industries. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Now, in schools and universities in the UK, there's a big do your time culture, right? So if you're in that industry, I think you know what I mean, Bem. It's like you almost have to serve 10 years before anyone actually takes you seriously as a leader. Now in the NHS, you've got very young nurses and doctors and physios and AHPs taking on massive responsibilities on the wards. But unfortunately, these people are still being ignored in decisions about staffing or maybe systems. Now in tech and creative industries, it basically flips. People in their mid-20s are the ones who are leading teams and products, okay? And it's sounding great. But older structures still treat them like they are temporary. Or the social media one. It's the same story in different industries, but just in different costumes. Now, the annoying thing is you are probably the one in the room who is closest to what's actually going on the ground. You are closer to the trainees, the new starters, the people who are actually using the systems every day. You see stuff older leaders generally don't see. That is your edge. So instead of apologizing for being young, try this. Just start stating what you are noticing. This is what people are struggling with. This is what I'm seeing in my caseload. This is what actually is happening day to day. Start using those terms and automatically you'll start to realize that's leadership. We need to be telling the truth more about what is actually happening in the workplace. Now, the other thing I need you to see is that you are probably already leading in ways you don't give yourself credit for. Now, I'm going to think about the last few weeks that we've just had. Who did you show something to? Who messaged you like, hey, do you know how to do this project? Who did you sit with when they were stressed? Who do people usually go to when the group chat is spiraling or something's gone wrong and everyone's panicking? You are probably the one quietly holding everyone together, okay? Explaining things, organizing stuff, smoothing things over. That is leadership. It might not sit under a fancy bullet point on your job description, but you are doing it. Now, a lot of the research on workplace culture calls this invisible work or emotional labor. Checking in on people, de-escalating drama, remembering birthdays, and even mentoring the new person. Studies keep finding that younger staff, especially women and people from the global majority background, do a huge amount of this in sectors like education, health, and the charity world. Teams literally fall apart without it, but it doesn't get written anywhere as a reason to promote you. If you felt like the unofficial therapist, your tech support, the admin for your team without the title match, that's not in your head. And it is a recognized pattern. Now, what I need you to do is picture a random Tuesday. You answer a panicked Teams message. You show someone how to actually use the system properly. You cover a class or a shift because someone called in sick. You calm down a student or a client who's upset, and you send the follow-up email that no one else actually remembered to do. And you are the one quietly fixing the chaos from a decision made from levels way above you. None of that goes into a spreadsheet as, say, your leadership hours, but that is the stuff that keeps places running. But the risk is, if you never call it that, other people won't either. You'll just be so helpful forever, lovely, reliable, exhausted. So start keeping these mental notes, or literally drop them in your phone even as you are listening to this podcast. When you do something a little bit, say, leadery, you ran part of a meeting, you onboard someone new, you sort out a mess that no one else actually wanted to touch. You make a decision that moved things forward instead of leaving it hanging. Those are the stories that we're going to start documenting in our notes and pulling through when we are having those, say, one-to-one meetings or line management meetings, or when you finally decide, actually, I would like that promotion. Here's the slightly harsh bit. Some of you are fully burning yourselves out. Simple as. And you're trying to prove yourselves by doing prove myself tasks. Nobody asked you to do, and nobody is actually taking tabs on or tracking you. There's some of you listening today who is staying late, fixing slide colors, answering emails at 11 p.m. and saying yes to every committee, every social thing, every could you just quickly, because you think one of those will be the magic thing that makes them go, wow, what a leader. Most of the time, all it does is train people that you are the one who will always pick things up when everyone else politely looks away. Leaders are not the ones doing the most random jobs. They are the ones making decisions about what not to do. They are protective of their time. They pick where to put their energy. They don't just say yes to everything because they know it will make their work worse, not better. you are allowed to take a tiny step in that direction. You don't have to go from yes to everything to no to everything everyone says overnight. Start with one thing this week where you say, I can't do this right now, or can't take this on right now. Something else maybe has to move if I do this, and see what happens. I promise you, the world will keep spinning. And the final thing I want to address in this segment is the way we actually talk. Professionals put on the weird work voice when they are meetings, like a slightly deeper, more serious, more robotic version of themselves. You at brunch, and I want you to picture this now, okay? Hilarious, sharp, clear as anything. You at work, yeah, no, that's fine. Whatever you think is best. The same brain that rants to your friends or your mates on FaceTime about how the process is broken, that's the brain you need in the meeting. You don't need to go in and drag everyone, obviously, but you can say things like, can I be honest, from where I'm sitting, this isn't working because, or maybe something like this, people are really struggling with X. Can we look at that? That's the tone, calm, clear, and a bit brave. There was actually a global youth report recently talking about how people our age want jobs where they can actually say what they think and be part of a decision, not just be told what to do. So when you practice using your real voice, you're not being awkward, you're literally preparing yourself for the kind of leadership workplaces say they want more of. Leadership is not this dramatic switch where one day they give you a title and you magically become a different person. It is just you gradually turning the volume up, or your actual voice and your actual instincts, and stopping this constant apologizing for everything, for even just being in the room. Now, you're already doing pieces, all of it. All we are doing right now is noticing it and owning it a bit more, and then choosing where we're gonna stretch next instead of waiting 10 years for someone to tell you that you are allowed. So now that we've dragged the whole too young to lead thing into the light a bit, and you can see where you are already showing up like a leader, let's make it really practical. And I want to give you one tiny thing to actually do this week. Okay, so I don't want this to be one of those episodes where you feel really seen, maybe get a bit emotional on your commute, and then by Wednesday, you are back to people pleasing and forgetting all of it. We are not doing that. We are doing one thing this week, and your one thing is write one lead now sentence and use it once this week. That's it. But let me give you a little bit more context. First, I need you to grab your notes app. This could be Notion, whatever you use, and literally write this down. If I was already seen as a leader here, I would. And don't overthink it. Just finish the sentence with one little action that actually fits your life this week. I'm going to give you some examples. Like, say one thing in the team meeting instead of just nodding along. Maybe it is, tell my manager I like more chances to lead bits of projects. Stop automatically offering to take notes every single time, or maybe push back once when someone dumps something last minute on me. Then you're going to take this and turn it into a line you can actually get out of your mouth without cringing. So for example, if your thing is I'm going to speak up in a meeting, your line could be, I've got a thought on this. Can I jump in quickly? If your thing is, I want to be considered for more leadership stuff, your line might be, by the way, I really love more chances to lead or organize parts of projects if anything comes up. If your thing is, I'm not the office note taker anymore, your line could be just, I did them last time, can someone else grab notes today? Nothing dramatic. We're not storming out, we're not doing a LinkedIn announcement, we are just slightly shifting how you show up once. And just imagine future you for a second. Like 5 years down, looking back at the version of you. They're not going to say, "I'm so glad we stayed silent in all of those meetings." They are going to be like, "Why didn't we just say the thing? It was sitting right there." So this is one sentence. It's basically you doing a future you a favor. And here's the bit I really want you to do after. Once you've just used your line, I actually want you to clock how it actually felt. So these are some things you can ask yourself to get a little bit deeper. Did that feel awful? Okay. Or kind of good? What did my brain immediately say after? That was too much, they're annoyed, or oh, that was fine actually. Did anyone react differently to me, or did most people just carry on with their day? Because half the time, the story before we do the thing is way scarier than the thing actually was in reality. And your brain will have you convinced that speaking once in a meeting is going to ruin your whole career. Then you do it, and everyone just goes, "Yeah, that makes sense," and moves on. And the funny thing is, from a lot of the career surveys on Gen Z and younger millennials, is when they ask what actually want from work, most people our age say the same thing: impact, growth, and not burning out. And it's not all I must be a director by 30. It's I want my work to matter, and I don't want it to wreck my health. So this tiny sentence you were testing this week, it's not a cute confidence exercise. It's you practicing being the kind of leader who's honest and clear now, before any fancy title actually shows up. So if you want some accountability, write your sentence down in the comments below so you and others turning up to our office can see it. I don't know what it is about announcing things publicly that makes us more inclined to do it, but it definitely works, and it is actually one of my favorite little psychological tricks. Now, every time you look at it, remind yourself, I'm just testing this once. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to try it. And then when you've done it, I'd love for you to come and tell us how it went. So share your line in the community, or DM or voice note me if you don't want to post it publicly. Even if it was an awkward one. Actually, especially if it was awkward. That is the real stuff. So that's your homework. One sentence used one time in your real life this week. You don't need to fix your entire confidence in 7 days. You just need one little moment where you act like the leader and you keep saying you'll be one day. And then you do it now, not when you magically feel ready. Closing. All right, we've gonna leave it here for today. If you take one thing from this episode, let it be this: you are not too young to lead. You are early, and that's your edge. Around here, this is what we will be doing every week. We will talk honestly about what it actually feels like to be an early career professional. We will unpack the stuff no one explains properly at work: leadership, boundaries, confidence, systems. And that's where we always will end with one tiny thing you can actually do that week. So this doesn't just live in your notes app or in your memory. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe or follow before you close this. That way you won't miss our next open office session. And next episode, we're going to be talking about the art of saying no without getting blacklisted at work. How to set boundaries, push back, and still be seen as someone who is serious, reliable, and ready for more. If I don't want to seem difficult and want to be known as the person to go to, you need that episode. So do your one thing this week. Write your lead now sentence, use it once, notice how it feels, and if you would like to share it, come and tell us in the comments how it went. I'm so proud of you all for turning up today and for even pressing play on a leadership episode this early in your career. And I will see you in a couple of days for the art of saying no without getting blacklisted at work. See you later.